Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. We finally got a mod that I've been wanting to do to the FX37 for a while now, and it's to install these paddle shifters right here. These are from like a G37 370Z, and I'm so excited to go ahead and do this because it's just been something I've been wanting to do on this car, and just to make it look a little bit better. And not having the paddle shifters on there, especially because I'm used to it, it was kind of hard for me not to like try to use them, right? So this should be plug and play. Now I do know that there might be a possible issue with like the little control unit that moves the steering column up and down. That may not fit properly, which is gonna suck because I really wanted this to work. But we'll see what we can do. Maybe we can try to glue it on, do something else. I don't know, but that's the only issue I potentially see with trying to install these. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Alright guys, so here are the paddle shifters. The white one, why I say white is because the plug is white, goes on the right side. The left one, which is the blue plug, goes on the left side. And you can tell because the one that has like the negative symbol is a downshift. Upshift is going to be the plus symbol. So that's how you know the difference between both of them. And luckily for me, believe it or not, I got these for 60 bucks, which is insane because these things go for over $200, even $300. But usually that I think includes like the whole like assembly in the back to cover it up. In my case, I'm gonna have to cut into it to make it fit, but 60 bucks is honestly insane. There's like a little scratch right there, but it's not a big deal to me. For the most part, you honestly just see like this portion right here. You don't really see like this or this over here on this side. Now, one thing that you should for sure look out for is going to be this right here, making sure that's intact because it mounts up right there. Same thing right here, making sure this is intact because it mounts up right there as well. As long as you have those and the connections look good, as you can see right there, then you should have like no real issues with installing this. Alright, so what you're for sure gonna need is a star head, which is one of these. Should be pretty girthy. What I mean by that is because you have different type of star heads. If you use a skinny one like this one, this may not work. You need something like a little bit more thicker, as you can see. For this, you don't really need to disconnect the battery unless you are going to remove the airbag, which I'm not going to be doing. You should turn the car on to make it easier to turn it, or you can put on the on position and just turn it like that. And then what you want to remove is this right here. I guess you do need a flathead too then. Or you could just take it out with your fingers. So let's take out this one first. And this is what I'm saying that might not fit properly anymore. So I'll have to figure that out. I'm gonna put it in here. So we got one out. Let's do the other one. Just like that. Alright, and then I believe there's one more at the bottom. It's gonna be hard to see. Alright, so there's this hole right here. Right there. Another Phillips or screw head. Okay, there's the other one. Alright, now after doing that, now it should literally just come off. Okay. Alright, there you go. Then this one, from my understanding, just comes off too. Alright, so this thing just comes down like that. You just gotta like maneuver it because it kind of gets stuck on this thing right here. But disconnect this right here, and then you can get this thing out of the way. Alright, there you go. Now this thing is out. Alright, now you gotta find the plug. So I can see one already right there. As you can see, take this tape off, and then here's another one right there. What? Alright, just like that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the white one, it's gonna sit in a non-existing place because this car does not come with it. What? Alright guys, so we ran into a problem It turns out that the FX does not have a bracket that goes right here, because right in this area right here there should be a bolt sticking out and then a bracket that extends out over here. This car does not have it at all. Now it looks like that bracket is mounted directly to this metal plate, so I'm wondering if I can go find like a G37 for example at a junkyard, remove the steering wheel and see if I can just simply take off this plate right here. So far it looks like you can. Yeah, because it looks like this whole plate is just like one piece. I will just have to take it off and put it in that same position. So this was going to be a simple process, but now it's going to be a lot more difficult. Now, the good thing though is it does have the wires to connect it, and it does fit in there, but there's no bracket. So this is good because then we don't have to mess with wiring. Now we got to get this right here. Pick this back up once I get a chance to go to the junkyard. Alright guys, as you can see, we found right here. This is a, I think it's a 2009 G37 or 11. So I'm just removing everything just to get access to this stuff right here. Take it off.
Eso no es para que se agarre. ¿Qué vas a agarrar con eso?
¿Esto?
Ajá.
¿Cómo?
¿Pero para qué es eso?
Porque los power shooters van en esta cosa.
¿Y aquel no lo tiene?
El mío no lo tiene. No tiene esto de aquí tampoco.
Oh.
So necesito, yo creo que todo esto de aquí.
¿Y eso para qué le vas a poner ahí? ¿El volante o qué?
Yeah. Oh, it's welded. Alright guys, so this is, I'm completely off. So this bracket right here only has one hole, but this bracket up here has two holes like that, and this supports it in there. So I'm thinking about making some custom work to this right here. I'm gonna make two holes so it can mount up just like that, as you can see, because that's all we really need to mount this. So if this goes right there, I just need a bracket right here to extend out and connect there so this doesn't move around. With these two screws that go right there, that should be enough support so this doesn't move around. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, honestly. So it should be pretty straightforward. I just need my homemade to weld it, and I think this should honestly work since we already have the plugs and everything. And then these are the two screws that go up there. They go on the top right here. So I already like moved some stuff around, and now if you put this in there, it fits perfectly. There's this plug right there. This clears it, so I don't have to move that around. So we should be good. Alright guys, so here is the bracket with the paddle shifters like somewhat installed. This goes right here with like a 10mm attached, and then here is supposed to be that front piece that we couldn't get from the G37 that was at the junkyard because it was welded on there. And in order to get that piece, I would have to cut it and then re-weld it onto my FX, which is going to be a lot of work and is honestly just not doable because it requires a lot of stuff to be removed. So instead, what I'm thinking about doing is making those two holes like I showed you earlier that goes to the bottom of that bracket. And then there's kind of like two ways I can go about this. I can either get a bracket that goes around to support it down here so it doesn't move down, because that's the issue. Get a bolt in there, goes down, wraps around it. But I do need this gap right here because there's a connection that goes through this hole, and there needs to be a sufficient gap in order to fit properly. The other option that I think is going to be the best one is going to be to create a bracket right here going up. So as you can see, this is like that, right? So the bracket needs to connect there, going up, and then making a hole to mount it right there. I could either do it with the bracket going down like this under it, or I could do it on top. Either one is gonna work, but I am thinking about most likely kind of doing it like that. But it just depends on how I see best fit. The main reason we need the bracket right here and so we can ensure that this doesn't move up and down. If it does end up getting loose right here, you can tighten it as much as you want right here, but if it doesn't have that support, it's just gonna flop down. Okay, so here's one of the brackets. I use these scissors right here to cut most of the edges, and right here you can see that it's gonna sit just like that on the inside, supported right here, and then another support right here. So I'm planning on putting a bolt through there, and then putting a nut on this side, and then right here there's a screw that already goes in there because it has thread on the inside, and then this will support it so it doesn't move up or down, anything crazy like that. Alright, so we're practically done with creating our brackets right here. As you can see, they're not the best, but it'll do for what we're trying to accomplish. Now here's a bracket, and like I mentioned earlier, this is going to go attached like right there. So this is actually going to go on this side with the bolt going through, attaching there. But let me show you guys something that I just picked up that is going to make this entire install, one, a whole lot easier and a whole lot cleaner. Now, luckily for me, I was actually getting rid of some springs that I had on the M45, and I met up with a guy that also has an FX. His was an FX35, and he was actually parting out his car, and he sold me the whole assembly that is made for the paddle shifters. So this goes something like that right there, and it has a space right there for the paddle shifters. So I luckily do not have to cut into my shroud that goes on the outside, and then I can still keep this bracket right here for the, what is it called, the telescopic thing that moves the entire steering wheel. I get to keep that and relocate it on the side over here as well. So I got so lucky with this because this is pretty expensive, and it's gonna make it a whole lot easier. And on top of that, he also gave me his bracket that he had for his paddle shifters, because I guess he had an extra one, and this is made for the QX and the FX because it has those two holes, as where this one, the one that we picked up from the junkyard, only had one. Now I was trying to drill out the holes, and as you can see, it was not drilling where I exactly wanted it to, so it looks like crap. This one is going to make it a whole lot easier to just install, no modifications needed. So we're going to go ahead and install these, but we're not going to put these on until we actually go ahead and put the bracket inside the car. Then I can attach these on there, and then the bracket right here on the side. Alright, so here under the FX, there's these size 4 Allen keys, or Allen key bolts, that we need to take off. These things are actually on here pretty good, as you can see, and I already removed these before and I left them a little bit loose, but when these things are tight, I mean they are tight, and you gotta use like an extension in order to remove these things right here, but it's doable. So once we remove this, we can drop it down, and then we can slide the bracket in place. So there's one right there. The second one, there's not enough space to get that right there, so you have to loosen this right here, which is a 12 mil right there, and a 12 mil on the other side. So let's loosen that thing really quick. Okay. There you go, just like that. Now let's put this other piece back in. So to loosen this right here, I had to use an opener and a wrench. I had to use this side. On the other side, where the nut's at, and this side, I just use an extension like that. Alright, there you can see that it's going in. I left this loose for right now because I don't want it timing all the way until I know I can get these in there. Tighten it up real good so it doesn't loosen up on you over time. far it looks like it's fitting, but I do think I need to cut this section right here just a little bit. I have my scissors that I can just cut it with real quick right here. And so far it's pretty sturdy. I still need to tighten it a little bit more. I need to start how to tighten this one right here, so let's do that real quick. I tighten everything up. There's like a little bit of movement, but nothing crazy. It's just gonna go up and down. Up and down doesn't move at all. Does a little bit like that. But here's a connection right there. I was able to get that in there. And then there's this white one right here that goes up there. And they got this for what I was telling you guys about on the side. So that should be pretty simple right there. Now we just got one more side. I only have one of these. I'm gonna see if I can find it, but this was a perfect fit right there. And then for the back side, I actually had to use like a flatter, so kind of like this, like a flatter bolt, which is an Allen key, to get it in there, because with the flat ones it was kind of hitting the top right there. As you can see, there's a very minimal space and it wasn't fitting properly. So using a flat one made it a whole lot easier to get this bolt in there. Alright, let's go ahead and do the other side. This is the bolt that I was talking about. Using a flatter one like this, make it a lot easier. Stick this in there first, then install this right here. Okay, once you have that in there, then you want to leave this kind of out. So when you grab your paddle shifter, you're just going to feed it in through there first, and then kind of angle it down, and then you can plug this in already right here. There. Angle it. Alright, this side is done now as well. Everything's there. And then we got the antenna right there in the back. Same thing, good like this. Does move up and down like a little bit, but nothing crazy. It looks pretty even to me. Alright, last thing we need is to install this thing right here. So it has like these, I don't know what you would call these, but they're like some clips, and they go in like that, goes to the bottom. There's some holes right here that you gotta attach it to. It's hard to see honestly, but you can get it. Like it's in. Just push it in, and then this is gonna go back up. Alright, so one difference that I noticed with this other shot is it actually has 2 more screws at the bottom now. So you're gonna have to find 2 more screws that fit right there. I should have quite a few of them sitting somewhere over there that I can use to lock the bottom into place. And then you gotta get this around here, just like that. Get this inside. Alright guys, so she's all done. There was a little bit of fitment issues, like it's not 100% perfect, but let's see if it actually works. Oh shit! It works! Alright, so it does work, no issues whatsoever, and it is sturdy. It's not like moving around. I'm really happy about this though. I'm happy that this was relocated right here and it's not gonna bother me. but overall looks pretty sick, looks badass, and I'm happy I got this bottom piece to go with it. So as you guys can see, it is possible even if you don't have the bracket